Time period for raising the demand is 2 years, and in service tax the time period for raising the demand is 18 months. And in both the acts, wherever there are the elements of fraud, misdeclaration or suppression, the time period is increased to 5 years. And this particular time period is for raising the show cause notice, and the officer is to decide the cases thereafter. In the GST Act, which was brought in June 2016, no such time period for issuing the notice was prescribed, but there was a time period for issuance of order was prescribed. Wherever there was no element of fraud, misdeclaration or suppression, the time period was 3 years for passing the order. And wherever there were elements of fraud, misdeclaration, suppression, etc., then the time period was increased to 5 years. In the absence of time period for issuance of show cause notice, an anomaly was there and an article was also written by this office on this particular issue. Then in November 2016, when the new model GST Act came, the time period for issuance of show cause notice was also prescribed. Now that time period, in cases where elements of fraud, misdeclaration or suppression were not there, it said that it should be issued at least 3 months prior to the passing of the order. And wherever the elements of fraud, misdeclaration, suppressions are there, the time period for issuance of show cause notice was at least 6 months prior to the issuance of the order. Now, this time period of 3 months and 6 months implies that the time period for raising the demand in case of fraud, misdeclaration, etc., has been lowered to the extent that the time demand for the 4.5 year can be given and not for 5 year. And similarly, in case of wherever there was a fraud, misdeclaration, etc., is not there, in that cases that demand period is also reduced by 3 months. But the most problematic thing is that if a demand is raised just 3 months prior to the prescribed period for issuance of order, then in that 3 month period, a litigant has to first give the reply to the show cause notice. Then there is a provision for giving three dates for the personal hearing, and it is not clear as to how within the 3 months period all these exercise can be undertaken by the officer who is to pass the order. So it is felt that the time period for issuance of show cause notice should be further reduced, and it should be the more time is to be given to the litigant to put up his effective defense.